Afternoon, everybody. Let us wait for maybe 2-3 minutes, and we can get started then. Just so that everyone has joined the call. All right, then we can get started. Okay. Hope everyone's excited for today's webinar. So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar on GST E-Invoicing. I'm your host, Shad. I'm the VP for Business Development at Posibolt Solutions. We are a 15-year-old company providing business solution softwares, especially to the wholesale and retail segments. All right. So that's a quick intro. So let's get started. Right. So these are the topics that I'll be covering in the webinar. Okay. So I'll start off with the understanding the basics of invoicing, then about the eligibility of invoicing, which all business industry uh, are eligible for invoicing. Then understanding the basic invoicing process and its integration with the GST system. Then I'll walk you through the registration process and enabling invoice. Then the different methods of generating invoices. Then finally, I'll brief you about the benefits of invoicing. And then finally, we have a Q&A session wherein you can post in your questions, and I'll be happy to provide the answers for that. All right. So to get started, I'll give you a brief timeline of invoicing. So invoicing was introduced in October 2020, okay, and initially it was mandatory for businesses whose annual turnover was exceeding 500 crores. Then since then, the government has expanded the reach of invoicing law by gradually decreasing the invoicing GST limits. Okay, so after starting the invoicing from October 2020 from 500 crores, later on January 2021, the limit was brought down to 100 crores. Then again on April 2021, the limit was further brought down to 50 crores. Then a year later on April 2022, it was brought down to 20 crores. And the last update was on October 2022, wherein the limit was brought down to 10 crores. And as per the latest circular, the upcoming revision is going to happen on August 2023, wherein the slab will be brought down to 5 crores. So what is e-invoicing? Okay, so I'm sure everyone might have heard the term what e-invoicing is, but I'll just brief you what exactly e-invoicing is with respect to our GST system. All right. So contrary to what you hear every day, so e-invoicing is not an electronic copy or soft copy or a PDF copy of your customer invoices. Okay, so there is a general misconception that it is the PDF copy of the invoices. No, that is not the case. Okay, and it is also not the process of generating invoices from the GST portal. Okay, so we need not, I mean, it's not a process of logging into the GST system and we do all our billing and invoicing from the GST system. No, that is not the case as well. So what exactly is invoicing? Okay, so invoicing is a government mandated process of submitting a specific invoice details to the government portal, which is the GST system. And upon submitting, we'll obtain a unique registration number and a QR code. And as a supplier, we would have to print the QR code on the customer invoice copy. Okay. So that's the process. Okay. So all the invoicing is done from our existing software. Okay. The only thing is we need to submit those details to the GST system, and we'll get a unique registration number from the GST system, which needs to be embedded in the customer invoice copy. Okay. So the eligibility for e-invoicing. So who all are actually eligible for invoicing? First one is that the total turnover, which I mentioned earlier, wherein we have the different slabs starting from the 500 crore slab, and latest one being implemented on August 2023, which is the 5 crore limit. Okay. And also there's a turnover, the turnover cap, which is actually inclusive of the previous financial years as well, not just the current financial year. Okay, I'll brief you a bit about that in the next slide. Okay. Then the turnover of the PAN is also considered in case of multiple GSTs coming under one PAN. So if you have one PAN and multiple companies coming under a single PAN, the consolidated aggregated turnover of all the companies will be enough for you to be eligible for invoicing. Okay. And also all B2B, B2G and export transactions are applicable for invoicing. And obviously B2C is not included for invoicing. So let's take an example, okay, about point number 2 that I mentioned right now. So suppose a company has the turnover. So as you can see in the slide, okay, for financial year 2017-18, you have 7 crores, 18-19, you have 11 crores, all the way to 2021-22 to 9 crores. So in this particular case, you can see the previous financial year 2021-22, the turnover is 9 crores. So let's not assume that this company is not eligible for invoicing. You can see for financial year 2018-19, the turnover has crossed 11 crores, which makes the company eligible for invoicing. Okay, hope everyone's clear about that. So there are some businesses that are exempted from invoicing. So these are the ones, the special economic zone units, insurers, banking companies, non-banking financial companies, financial institutions, transport companies, multiplexes, and B2C transactions. So these are for these companies, for these business organizations, there is no e-invoicing applicable. All right. So before I get to the next slide, I would like to have a quick survey. You'll be shown a poll. So I would like to know whether your business is currently coming under the invoicing slab. So it's going to be a quick poll. So requesting everyone to join the poll. Let's give a minute here. So let's continue. So now that we've learned what exactly invoicing is, I'll brief you on the process behind the whole thing. Okay, how an invoice is generated. All right. So as a supplier, you would require to prepare the invoice in your existing software. You can actually use your existing software for preparing invoice. Okay. So once you have prepared the invoice, you are required to actually submit those details to the invoice registration portal, or what we call as IRP. Okay. So So before sending, there are certain conditions that needs to be followed. Okay, there is a specific format which is provided by the GST system. Okay, so you would have to submit the invoice details in the specific format and send that over to the IRP, the invoice registration portal. Now, what the IRP does is it validates the data that you have sent. Okay, and after the validation, it generates an IRN or invoice registration number. So once the IRN is generated, the details are moved from IRP to the GST system. The GST system again validates it, validates the invoice registration number, and after the validation, it sends back the data with a QR code from the IRP. So the IRP generates a QR code, and this QR code is again sent back to the supplier, and the supplier would now need to print that QR code in the customer invoice copy. Okay. So that's a whole process behind the invoice generation. It's a very simple process. Uh, so I'll just brief this in a nutshell once again. It's preparing the invoice, sending that over to the IRP invoice registration portal. IRP validates it and it sends it to the GST system. Then from the GST system, it gets back to the IRP. The IRP generates the QR code, and this QR code is sent back to the supplier, which is printed on the invoice copy. So now how to actually register for invoicing? Okay, so there are a couple of steps involved in that. So I'll brief you through the different steps involved in registering an invoice. Okay, first one is obviously you have to be a GST registered taxpayer. Okay, so the second one is if you are actually currently using the GST portal for e-way bill preparations, you need not do the registration, because you that registration is enough for you to gain access to the invoicing portal. Okay, so here's how we do it. So we go to the invoice portal. I have shared the link earlier. Okay, invoice1.gst.gov.in. You go to the URL, and under the registration menu, you have something called as portal login. You click on the portal login, and in the subsequent screen, you are required to enter your firm's GST number. You enter the GST number. After clicking on submit, the screen shows the GST details of your firm. Now you would have to verify the details. Once that is verified, you need to click on send OTP. So upon clicking the OTP button here, you will get an OTP on the registered mobile for that GST firm. Okay, and you would need to enter the OTP and verify OTP. That's it. So this is the whole process for registering your firm for invoicing. Okay. So once the registration is done, you would need to enable invoicing. That's the second process. Okay. So for that, you would need to again go to the registration menu, click on the invoice enablement menu, and again it asks for the GST number of your firm. You enter the GST number, and that's it. So now your firm has been enabled with e-invoice. So you want to double check it. Okay, so if you want to check whether your company has e-invoice enabled, there is a search menu in the GST site here. Okay, so if you go to the site, and under search menu, there is a invoice status of taxpayer menu here. You click on it. It asks for the GST number. You enter the GST number and click on go. And at the bottom, you can see the status of the invoice enablement for your firm, which in which slab you come under. Right. So now that we have gone through the process of registration for invoicing, let's see the different methods of generating the invoice. Okay, there are basically two options. Okay, one is the bulk upload option. Okay, and the second one is the direct integration with ERP or accounting softwares. Okay, so let us start with the bulk upload option. Okay, so typically B2B businesses, they have large number of invoices on a daily basis. Okay, it can be 50, it can be 100. Okay, So doing them individually, each invoices would be a painstaking start. Okay, so for that there is a bulk upload option which has been introduced by the GST system. Okay, so let's see how the bulk uploading works. So this is a login portal for the invoicing. Okay, so once you log in, you will have a bulk upload option on the left hand side. Okay, so you click on it. Okay, and subsequently there is a template which is also available in the GST portal. Okay, so you are required to actually fill in the details in the Excel template. Okay, so as you can see, this is the screenshot of the template here. So here you are required to enter the invoice details. Each and every invoice detail has to be entered here in this format specified by the GST system. Okay, you are required to enter the GST number, the dates, the invoice document number, all those details has to be manually entered in this particular template. So once the details are entered into the system, into this particular template, you are required to upload that. So there is a bulk upload screen here. So you choose the file and you click on upload. Now what happens is the details gets uh, sent to the IRP and it comes and it returns with the QR code. So that is the bulk upload process. And if you want to print the invoices, uh, apart from using the QR code and putting it in the invoice format that you're currently using in your software, there is the option to actually print the invoice from the GST portal itself. Okay, so you click on the print button here, you type in the acknowledgement number or the invoice registration number, and you will get the print format. So this is the default format that is being used at NIC, the National Informatics Center. Right. So obviously, there are some disadvantages of using bulk upload. Okay. So as I said earlier, the users would require to manually fill in the invoice details uh, every day. So it's a daily process. Okay. If there are 50 or 100 invoices, the users would have to fill in that template manually. All the details the users have to fill in manually. Okay. So which is a very difficult task if there are more than 100 or 200 invoices on per day. Okay, so also there is a chance that of errors happening. Okay, because this is a manual task that is being done by a user, right? So obviously there can be chances that errors can happen in the data that is being entered in the template. So the ideal way would be to actually integrate the whole operations with the GST system. Okay, so Posibolt has the direct integration with the GST system. Okay, so what Posibolt offers is it offers an automatic integration of invoices with the invoice registration portal. Okay, so you here users can directly generate the invoices from the process. Okay, so how it works is uh, it's just a matter there is the users would require to do the billing in the normal fashion as they do in a billing software. Okay, and the rest of the things are actually automatically done by the system. Okay, users can choose the invoices for which the invoicing needs to be generated, and by a click of a button the details get sent back from the GST system to the Possible software. So here's how it works. Okay, so the screen here, what you see is it is listing all the invoices. Okay, all the invoices that is being billed to customers. Okay, and on the right hand side you have the checkbox option. You select the invoices and you click on the push button. Okay, and once you click on the push button, the invoice details in the correct format as stipulated by the GST system, okay, are sent over to the the IRP actually. Then it goes to the GST system. It comes back to the Possible software immediately. Okay, so it is a very easy process. Okay, there is literally zero effort involved in this. Okay, and once the data is here, the printout will also have the QR code enabled in it. So the users can immediately take the printout and hand it over to the customer. This is the acknowledgement that is received from the GST system after an invoice is pushed to the GST system. So, so now that we understood the process behind generating an invoice, let's see the benefits of invoicing. Okay. So first one being ease of compliance. Okay. Uh, as you might know, e-invoice is not just in India. It's been implemented in many countries. Okay. The recent one being, I believe, in Saudi Arabia. Okay, which in fact Posibolt has implemented there as well. Okay. So it is a process that has been implemented world over. Okay, so it is evident from their experience that invoice eases the whole compliance activities. Okay, so in terms of compliance in the Indian GST system, okay, once the invoicing is done, the supplier's GSTR1 form is also auto-populated with the invoicing data, which simplifies the whole GST return filing process. Okay, this also reduces the input credit verification issues, as the same data is actually visible to the tax department as well as the buyer in the purchase register. Okay. Second one is invoicing reduces reconciliation issues. Okay. So as mentioned earlier, we have all the data in one place. Okay. There is a system in place to capture all the transactions, and thus the whole process is greatly simplified. Okay. Third one is improves the improvement in payment cycles. Okay. So having all the accounts payable information in a single location allows businesses to streamline their invoice processing cycle. Okay. So it eliminates time consuming processes and verification tasks and leading to shorter payment cycles. Fourth one is standardization and interoperability. So as I mentioned earlier, so the invoice data being sent to the IRP is following a certain format. Okay. So regardless of which software you're using, all the softwares are required to send the data in this particular standard format. Okay. Thus, there is a standardization in the invoice data. So anyone can actually view the data in the same format as they would see in their format as well. And for the final one is the increased visibility and transparency. So invoice improves visibility into invoices and supporting documentation with detailed audit trails. And this also actually reduces disputes and manual efforts associated with tracking down and verifying the payment data. So that is about the whole webinar on invoicing. Okay. Uh, and for the final session, let's have a Q&A. Okay. So you can post in your questions in the Q&A tab in this webinar window, and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay. So I have one question posted here. Is e-invoicing applicable only for e-invoices? Actually, no. So there is a what you call a misconception there as well. Okay, because of the term invoice being there in the invoice, the word invoicing. Okay, it's not just applicable for invoices. Credit notes and debit notes also come under invoice. Have another question. So can we edit or cancel an invoice? Actually, editing is not possible. Okay, we have the option for cancel an invoice. Okay, you have to cancel the whole invoice. There is no partial cancellation. Okay, and the cancellation window is 24 hours. So after the invoice is generated, you have a window of 24 hours. So you can cancel the invoice within the 24 hours. Okay, but if there is a e-way bill associated with that particular invoice, you would actually require to cancel the e-way bill first, then you can actually cancel the invoice. Okay, and suppose you want to actually cancel the invoice beyond 24 hours. Okay, actually that is not possible. You would be able to edit the details in the GSTR form when you're actually submitting your GST. Have another question. What if I don't register for invoice even though I am eligible? So obviously you will be fine. Okay, so from what I know, it is the fine is 100% of the invoice value per invoice, or 10,000 rupees, whichever is higher. Okay. Further questions from anyone? Okay, so before I actually end the webinar, I would like to have one more survey on there's a poll that might have come up right now. Okay, so how informative was this webinar for you? Okay, I would deeply appreciate your responses for that as well. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. Okay, hope you have a great day. Thank you.